Hey guys, I've got the key to this 21 BMW M4. It is a non-competition car. That means you can get it with a 6-speed manual, and yes, we have that gearbox. We're gonna take it for a drive on some fun roads. But before we do, let's talk about how it looks outside and in. And I will keep it brief here at the front because I'm sure everyone is sick of opinions for or against the new face of the M3 and M4. I'll just say, I've gotten kind of used to it. I still prefer the classic kidney grills, the more conservative designs of the front end for the M3 and M4, but at some point, you just kind of have to roll with it. And this one is clad in BMW's frozen mineral white metallic. Frozen means it's a matte white paint job, and I don't hate it. It also has the exterior carbon fiber package, so you get carbon fiber at the front air intakes. The executive package brings you LED laser light technology with the blue accents. Harleys. And I love the new wheel designs of the M3 and M4. Geometric and just radical. They're wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, great tires. 275 section in the front, 285 in the rear. And you saw the gold brake calipers. That means we've got the carbon ceramics, the most expensive option in this car that brings its price up from $72K to over 100, just over 100. And that's gonna save you some unsprung weight, and it's gonna keep your stopping distances tidy for your long day at the canyons or at the track. The profile I prefer for the M3 versus the M4. The long doors just work better for this body. And at the rear, all critiques of design for the front end just fade away because I love the rear end of this car. It's so imposing and muscular and other overused automotive journalist words, but you know what? It just works. It's so chunky down low. This huge carbon fiber diffuser with equally large quad exhaust ports. Big fan. Okay, let's go check out that interior. Inside is so very orange. Kyalami orange. Full merino leather, and the leather feels fantastic in this car. I actually like the color as a contrast to the more subdued white exterior. This one doesn't have the optional carbon fiber bucket seats. I had those in the M3 competition, and I loved them when I was in the seat, but getting in and out was a total pain. So this is more reasonable on your daily. That power slides forward so you can get to the rear seats, where I fit as a 6-footer behind my own driving position. I had some knee room, and my head even cleared the roof. It's pretty impressive. Carbon fiber interior trim on this one, so you get inserts on the steering wheel, on the center console, that looks good, and on the passenger side dashboard. While we're here, look at the pedals. Good placement on those, nice and tight, so you can do your heel-toe downshifting, the brake and throttle right there. Hopping inside and grabbing onto this thickly padded M Sport steering wheel, like tricolor stitched on the inside. Your M1 and M2 buttons here, reconfigurable in the infotainment. Fully digital instrument cluster, reconfigurable when you hit the M mode button there. And you've got a head-up display, so you can keep your tachometer and your peripherals. Very useful when driving quickly. 12-inch touchscreen infotainment with the latest iDrive system. Super easy to use. Wireless Apple CarPlay is always nice. If you don't want to touch it, you can use the iDrive controller right here. And the proper gearbox, a 6-speed manual. The leather wrapping feels fantastic. The size and shape is just right. I'll talk about the throws and the performance of it when we drive it, which is right now. All right, clutch in. Press the red start-stop button. Listen to that BMW chime. How many years has BMW used the same chime? Anyone know? I'd take a comment if you do know, I'm curious. So because we're going to start on city streets, we'll go into our setup mode and make sure everything's in its most comfortable settings. We got efficient engine, gear shift assistant on. We'll start with that on just to see what it's like. Comfort, chassis, steering, and brake, and then traction control fully on. Take off the e-brake, press that down. Let's go to reverse, pull the gear selector all the way over to the left and then up one. Standard resolution wide angle backup camera. No bird's eye or 360 camera views. So let's go to first gear, over and up one. And you can see some different information here. You can repeat your core settings, or you can go to what gear you're in fuel economy, telemetry, tire pressure, oil temp, and boost. You can see the car is warm. Pound-feet of torque and horsepower, G meter, media, and back to that. Head-up display is in its normal setting here in M mode road, so you can see your speed and speed limit. And now, let's try the turning radius. We are in gravel, so you're going to hear things. It's not anything braking, it's just gravel. Nice and tidy turning radius. Join up with the main road. And sound control, BMW's system of piping in extra noise in the cabin, I'm now turning off. So the car should be its most quiet right now. Turn signal, just, you know, to break a stigma. Start by driving the car very casually, just to get a feel for it. Here at 50 miles per hour. Bit of wind noise seeping in. Make sure that's all the way up. Yeah, bit of wind noise here by the driver window. Road noises, manageable. Engine staying fairly quiet. And ride quality is a touch firm for something that would most likely end up as a commuter with some fun weekend drives. The suspension is fairly firm. I feel the bumps, all of them. Doing this just to see. Yeah, you feel the impacts and the movement in the road, the highs and lows. So it's not pure luxury right here. This isn't Lexus ride quality. It's a performance car. Come in with those expectations. Gearbox is really nice to operate. The throws are super short, and the nice notch into each gear is so satisfying, and there leaves no mystery there. You're in the gear or you're not in the gear. And because it's a 6-speed as opposed to having like an overdrive 7-speed like we're seeing in some Porsches and the new, or at least the C7 Corvette, no manual for the new C8, it means that there's power at your disposal pretty much all the time. You're not having to deal with an overdrive gear that on the freeway may mean you'd have to downshift a gear to do a pass. This one, even at a freeway speed, there's power there. And that means you're giving up a bit of fuel economy. I think this gets 19 combined with the manual, 20 with the 8-speed automatic from 16 city and 23 highway. So you may be sacrificing a bit of fuel economy, but I would take it for having power throughout the range. And braking in its comfort setting and steering in its comfort setting, neither are too sensitive. And also that throttle response, even in efficient, let's go down to third. I'm still revving even though I've got a gear shift assistant. I should really try that out, see how it does. But if you go deeper into the throttle, it doesn't fully kill throttle response in engine efficient settings. Let me U-turn. Darn, I was going to U-turn. Let's try sport now for the engine. See how that changes things up. And I will try the gear shift assistant. Let's just do it just for fun. So yeah, you can just see the blips there. Not me having to heel toe downshift. In preparation for what lies ahead, let's make some changes here. Sport Plus on the engine. Gear shift assistant off. Chassis Sport. Steering, I'm going to leave that in comfort. I actually like not having artificial resistance. And brake, sport. Finally, let's do M dynamic mode with the traction control system, so it allows a little bit of slip. And then M mode. Let's do M mode sport, so you can see the tachometer front and center, and then up there on the head-up display. With that, let's get moving. Yeah, it definitely gets moving. 3-liter twin-turbo inline 6-cylinder engine that makes 473 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque in the standard M3 and M4. If you go competition, you'll only be able to have it with the 8-speed automatic gearbox, standard torque converter, not a dual clutch. But you will get an extra 30 horsepower for a total of 503, and an extra, something like 70 pound-feet of torque. It's significant. So, I mean, I drove the M3 competition, and the feeling of overwhelming torque was intoxicating. However, even just a few minutes behind the wheel of the M4 with the manual makes me realize how much more I'm getting back in terms of driving engagement, and therefore it feels worth the power loss. And I'll tell you what, there isn't a strong sense that I've lost any power, because this car is quick. Yeah, it's quick. That was an uphill. 0 to 60 is like 3.9 seconds with the manual. You may save a tenth with the 8-speed automatic and the extra 30 horsepower and 70 pound-feet of torque. And this is the recipe I want. I don't want the all-wheel drive version that's coming. And now after driving it, I don't even want the extra power to have to give up this manual gearbox, because it's a phenomenal gearbox. The throws are so precise. I love the notchiness. The clutch took me a little getting used to. It's not overly weighted, and the travel isn't overly long. It's the engagement point, which I found to be fairly mysterious. It took me a long time to realize when it's actually engaged and I can take my foot off completely, or I was popping off because I was like, oh, it's engaged. Nope, it hadn't yet. That's my only critique with this gearbox, the whole transmission setup. It's the clutch, the engagement point. But yeah, this is it's fun around town, and yet very easy to drive. So now, let's take it to some twistier bits. That was not English. Let's take it to some twistier bits. That's English. It's a quick rack, and I like keeping it in its standard comfort setting. I feel like I have better feel for the car. The brakes are so smooth in the way they bring the car down from speed. I feel very confident in those. And I don't feel like I need to drop down a gear to maintain momentum out of corners. There's power at my disposal. And anyone who's afraid that BMW's M division is slacking in any way, fear not. I'm getting the butterflies in my stomach. What a well-sorted chassis. And the inputs are so nice. It's saying something that I was just on this road in a mid-engine Cayman, and I'm feeling the same level of confidence attacking these corners in this car. What a treat that this car is still made in this variety with a manual gearbox and a 3-liter inline-6 engine and a team who really clearly cares about driving purity. You can feel the engineer's passion in the way this car drives. And to go from what we were just doing, casually, comfortably cruising around, to this in moments, speaks to just the impressiveness of how vehicle engineering has come along. But you also think about how many people BMW has to please with this car in the variety of applications from a performance standpoint and a daily comfort standpoint. And they've pulled it off. I feel like there's not much I actually have to say. You've seen it through the driving experience. It eats up corners. It rotates the weight side to side without any drama, any unpredictability. The braking performance is so solid. The throttle response, honestly, just stay above 3,000 RPM and you're in the meat of it all the time. And the gearbox it's great. Checks all the boxes for me, that's for sure. Not going to turn the car off, just let it cool down. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this drive impressions, and I will see you again next time.